There is a strange feeling that has become almost impossible to escape. You wake up in the morning, you go to work, you study, you build something, you try to improve yourself, and for a while, everything feels normal until you open your phone. Someone is traveling, someone just bought a car, someone is making money online, someone has built a business, someone is living the life they used to talk about in those motivational videos. And suddenly, you look at your own life a little differently. Nothing changed. Your room is the same. Your job is the same. Your problems are the same. But something inside your head has changed. You start asking a question you weren't asking 5 minutes ago. If they can do it, why am I still here? And maybe that's where FOMO begins. We've heard the word everywhere. FOMO, fear of missing out. It sounds almost harmless, a modern internet word, something people casually throw around when they don't want to miss a party, a trend, a stock, or an opportunity. But underneath that simple word, there is something much deeper. Because sometimes you're not afraid of missing an event, you're afraid of missing your life. You're afraid that while you're standing still, the rest of the world is moving. And that's a very different kind of fear. There is an old Chinese saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. It's usually used as a reminder to start, but there is another side to it. Sometimes we hear a sentence like that, and instead of feeling motivated, we feel guilty. Because suddenly we're thinking about the 20 years we didn't use, the opportunities we missed, the time we wasted, the things we should have started earlier. And instead of helping us move forward, the past becomes another reason to feel behind. That's how subtle this can be. FOMO doesn't always scream. Sometimes it simply whispers, you should be further ahead by now. And social media has given that whisper an unlimited supply of evidence. Every day we're shown someone's result. The money, the house, the body, the relationship, the vacation, the business, and sometimes even the story behind it. I started with nothing. Nobody believed in me. I worked hard for years, and now look where I am. Those stories can be inspiring, but sometimes they hurt. Because somewhere in the middle of watching someone else's transformation, the brain quietly turns inspiration into comparison. They started with nothing. They made it. So why haven't I? And you don't even realize when the question changes. At first, you're watching someone else's story. A few minutes later, you're judging your own. That's what makes FOMO so dangerous. It doesn't always make you want what someone else has. Sometimes, it makes you question what you already are. You start looking at your life as a timeline. Where you were, where you are, where you thought you'd be. And then you look around. The city is changing, people are changing, technology is changing, friends are moving forward. Somebody is getting married, somebody is starting a company, somebody is leaving the country, somebody is finally making money. And you wake up tomorrow, and somehow it feels like you're living the same day you've been living for the last 2 or 3 years. That's when FOMO becomes painful. Because now it's not really about missing out on something. It's about the feeling that life is moving, and you're not. And here's the uncomfortable part. Sometimes that feeling can even become useful. It can wake you up. It can make you ask better questions. It can tell you that something in your life needs to change. But there is a thin line between motivation and anxiety. Motivation says, I want to build something better. Anxiety says, I have to catch up. Motivation gives you direction. FOMO gives you urgency without direction. And when urgency becomes stronger than clarity, we start making decisions just to feel like we're moving. We change careers, we chase trends, we jump from one idea to another. We start things and abandon them. We compare ourselves to people we don't even know. We keep consuming more information because somewhere inside us, we're hoping the next video will finally tell us how to catch up. But sometimes, the more we try to escape the feeling of being behind, the more behind we actually feel. And maybe that's why this feeling is so difficult to fix. Because it's connected to something very fundamental in us. Human beings have always compared themselves. For most of human history, knowing where you stood among the people around you had real survival value. Who had resources, who had status, who was accepted, who was ahead. Our brain learned to pay attention. But today, we don't compare ourselves with 10 people around us. We compare ourselves with thousands, sometimes millions, and we compare our ordinary Tuesday morning with someone's greatest moment of the year. No wonder the mind gets exhausted. And there is something else I've started noticing. Sometimes what hurts isn't even someone's success. It's when they tell you how successful they've become. The lifestyle, the freedom, the money, the motivational story behind it. Because then it becomes personal. You start thinking, if they could transform their life from nothing, why can't I? And that question can stay inside your head for a long time. For some people, it becomes motivation. For others, it becomes self-pity. Maybe they're lucky. Maybe they had better opportunities. Maybe life just works for them. And honestly, sometimes those things are true. Luck matters, circumstances matter, timing matters. The world is not perfectly fair. But staying inside that explanation doesn't change anything either. Because whether someone was lucky or not, your life is still waiting for you. And maybe that's where the real battle begins. Not with other people, not with the internet, not even with FOMO, but with the temptation to constantly look sideways. Because every time you look at someone else's timeline, you temporarily lose contact with your own. You stop asking, what should I do next? And start asking, why am I not there yet? The first question can move your life forward. The second can keep you stuck for years. There is a Japanese concept called ikigai. It's often translated as a reason for being, a reason to get up in the morning. And while the internet has turned it into diagrams and productivity advice, there's something beautiful in the underlying idea. A meaningful life doesn't necessarily have to look impressive from the outside. It just has to mean something to the person living it. And maybe that's something we forget. When we spend too much time watching everyone else's lives, we start building a life that looks successful, instead of a life that actually feels like ours. But honestly, there is no perfect answer to FOMO. At least, there isn't one that I've figured out. You can delete social media, you can stop comparing, you can tell yourself to focus on your own journey. And for a while, it might work. Then one random night, you open your phone, see someone who seems 10 steps ahead of you, and that old feeling comes back. What am I doing with my life? And maybe that's the part we need to accept. Because FOMO isn't some problem that you solve once and never experience again. Maybe even if you had an extraordinary level of discipline, FOMO would still come. Even if you could control your thoughts perfectly, it would still come. Even if you somehow had everything you wanted, there would still be something you could miss. Because FOMO isn't a modern defect. The word might be new, the feeling isn't. People have always looked around and wondered whether they were missing something. We just happen to live in a time where the entire world can show us what we're missing every few seconds. So maybe the goal isn't to eliminate FOMO. You probably can't. It will come tomorrow and the day after that. Someone will achieve something. Someone will go somewhere. Someone will become something you wish you were. And you'll feel that little pressure again. The only thing you can really do is not spend too much time living inside it. Notice it. Let it hurt for a moment. Then let it go. Because the longer you hold on to that feeling, the more space it takes inside your mind. And the strange thing is, sometimes you don't have to defeat it. You just have to stop feeding it. Let it pass. Then get back to your life. And tomorrow, when it comes back again, you do the same thing. Because no one in this world can completely fix your FOMO for you. It's part of being human. You can't always stop the feeling of missing out, but you can learn not to let the feeling decide where your life goes.